Hello and thank you for watching my video. This is a video that's going to be looking at the Fractal of the Mists dungeons. This came into the game a little bit after launch with the expectation to be the next level after dungeons, which was supposed to be endgame content but didn't really fulfill that role, and Fractals were designed to take its place. Again, it hasn't really performed as expected. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to run through how Fractal of the Mists works. This is actually level 50 Fractal of the Mists. It's a pretty challenging dungeon run, and it's a pretty long dungeon run as well. So the first one we're in, it's the most popular, easiest Fractal to do, is the swamp. And the idea is why people do this is they would enter the dungeon, leave, enter the dungeon, leave, until they actually find or roll, as what you'll see in the looking for group items, this dungeon. You'll notice as well they have tripwires that aren't highlighted at all. You have to jump over those, and they also have foot traps, which again, unless you you can't actually see them, or unless you actually run over them, you can't see them. Again, you get these walls that appear. You have to jump over them like this. With your sort of wisp, and there are 3 wisps, and the idea is you bring them back and you put them in here into the sort of the cleft. Again, this is the easiest dungeon. It's the quickest dungeon to do. It's why people spend time just making sure that they get this dungeon or this fractal. And what happens? You get a split. As you can see in the mini map, it splits in 2. There are 2 variations for this fractal. One is Bloomhunger, which we're going to do now, and the other one is a guy, the Moss Man, and he has his little hut, and he is the boss for the other side. Bloomhunger is a little bit easier because the Moss Man does tend to sort of he will vanish and then reappear, so he's not as easy to damage. Bloomhunger here, he does have a few little interesting hits. He Fractal level 50, he does some hell of a lot of damage. I mean, I didn't have the combat log there. I wanted to show you how much damage he does. So if we go up here, he does 14,000 damage for Entangle. A huge amount. And, we also have Agony. But as I'll show you here, he has a few little adds that will give him boons and buffs. You want to take out those spirits as soon as possible, because if you don't, he'll get retaliation and other sort of boons and buffs that make your life a lot more difficult. Sorry. I'm trying to do a couple of things at once, so I'm not really paying too much attention. But yeah, this is the standard boss. This is probably the easiest fractal to do at level 50. I am going to try and do a few small lower level fractals to give you guys an idea, but let's talk about Agony. You'll notice the little above the healing seal, and also in the combat log, I'm getting afflicted with Agony, which happens at level 50. Every so often you get damaged by Agony, and I am getting hit. So it says I'm hitting myself, but I'm actually getting hit. It's not too much because I actually have. So it says you hit yourself for 140, agony. It's because I have 70 agony resistance, from my armor and my trinkets. And for fractal level 50, you need at least 70 agony resistance, or you just won't survive. And what happens, Agony isn't needed. I don't think Agony doesn't actually happen for the first 10 levels. You can see here again, I'm getting hit for pretty much one shot for an Entangle. The idea to avoid that Entangle is you've got to keep moving. Pretty difficult for me if I'm a nuker Ellie, but yeah. So going back to Agony, as the levels increase, the Agony resistance, the higher levels you go, the higher the agony resistance you need. So for example, at level 12, level 14, level 20, you don't need too much agony resistance, whereas at level 30, 40, and then up to 50, you do need a quite substantial amount of agony resistance in your armor. And how do you get that? Well, by completing fractals, you can get infusion, You can purchase them. You can also buy them from the Laurel vendor, or you can buy them in the Fractal the Mists sort of home instance when you sort of first go into the dungeon. They do give you the option, you can buy sort of a flat base +5, which is actually what I did at the beginning just to get started with Fractals. Get a flat base, you know, and then as you progress, you know, I've done over 400 different instances with Fractal the Mists, so I've built up quite a substantial agony resistance. Again, you can see I'm, you know, like, I could run a different class. It's the only class I actually have full 7th, you know, maximum agony resistance. Agony can also only be put in on ascended armor, so that's another thing. I also do. You can put it on your legendary weapon, I believe. I'll just have to double check with that. But you can put upgrades on that. But yes, most of it's to do with the armor. And you know, obviously your sort of infused back piece and trinkets. So as you can see, we've completed the Fractal by defeating the boss. We get 14 Fractal relics, we get 2+1 agony infusions, and then we move on to the next Fractal. And this, unfortunately, is a very long Fractal. This Fractal here is the legendary Archdiviner. And you know, he is a pretty tough boss to take down. As you can see, you know, we're trying to, with our party, we're trying to freeze him. We're using our ice bow skill 5. There we go. And you know, we're getting some pretty good damage. However, he has a couple of interesting attacks. You want to try and cripple or freeze him, but he does pretty much one-shot you. You know, you can see there he's hit me for 2 times Ring of Warding, which was 8k damage each time, and that is more than my total health is. So I get knocked down. Then he goes into this phase where he will start spawning wells or marks, and they will inflict conditions on your party or on yourself, whoever's in there, and it is pretty substantial damage. You want to avoid them pretty much. And yeah, the guy's not too hard to take down. He is pretty tanky. You do have to just it takes a while to get him down. Remember, again, this is level 50 Fractals, so it is a pretty substantial, much more difficult boss compared to a level 1 to 10. I'm hoping this video, you know, for you guys that are unfamiliar with Fractals, I'm hoping that it will be pretty useful to see how, you know, where the strategies are, because if you do not know the strategies, it will take you a long time. Our party here, we're all sort of, apart from one of us, everyone else has over 10,000 achievement points, so you can tell at that point, you know, most people know what they're doing. If you have not done Fractals and you have over 10,000 points, okay, fair enough. But again, look, you can see he's hit me for 9,000 damage, and they do hit very, very hard. It's not the fact that I don't have agony resistance, it's the fact that I'm very, very squishy, and the boss here, he hits like a train. He is just so powerful. I mean, we've got in our party, just I didn't mention, we have a guardian, a warrior, myself and another elementalist, and a thief. And you can see here, this is just my armor. You can see I had 70 agony resistance. But yeah, I think, you know, if you are, you know, the armor sets, you do need ascended armor for this. When you're getting to the latter stages, up till level 20, you can get away with it. You know, we're going with exotic armor, but in the end, you will need to get ascended armor and ascended equipment. So this isn't for, you know, this isn't for people that are lower than level 80. This isn't for people that are fairly new to the game. This does take a little bit of time to sort of, you know, get used to. You can see the sort of I mentioned about the wells or the marks. You know, that's what those were spawning. But we're getting him down. The idea that we kill him because we need what he's carrying is this hammer. And this hammer we use, we have to carry along with us. But I'll just explain about that when we actually pick it up. I mean, this is probably one of the longest Fractals that there are in there, so it's not a great one to get for your second one. Obviously, if you compare it to the first Fractal, we managed to finish that within sort of 8 minutes. Again, if you could equate it that every Fractal is like a dungeon. So, you know, we're doing 4 dungeons, because the way it works out, you get, I'm just going to give myself a couple of boosts. sort of using these consumables that I've got so many from the Black Lion keys. And you notice our warrior is actually carrying the hammer and is being afflicted with this condition. So you can see the stacks going up. It's up to 24, 25, and by getting these stacks, when it gets to 30, when it gets to a certain point, it will stun the person carrying it, which happens, and then you'll actually die if you have it. When it gets to 40 stacks, it actually downs you. So you want to make sure you drop the hammer before you get to that point. I would recommend that mainly the heavy class professions take the hammer because it does cause you damage when you pick it up, and you know, from my point of view, it's very difficult in combat for me to pick up that hammer. When we get to this point, the idea of the hammer is we take out the seals, and we do need to charge up the hammer, and we do that by killing these novices. So when we get the kill, the hammer's charged, and then the person uses skill 4 on the hammer, and that will reduce the seal. We'll do the same thing again. We'll take out the novice, charge the hammer, and we'll take out that seal. And this is a very efficient way to do it. You want to do one at a time, you know, sort of get the, you know, we've done it again, we've killed another person, charged the hammer, and he's broken the seal. It just needs one more, and we're pretty much done with this. So it's very, very quick here. We've got a very handy group, and we move on to the next stage. So as you can see, we're running past some spike traps, and then the next bit we come to can be a bit tricky, as one of my party members finds out in a bit later. These winds will knock you off. You can dodge through them, but you know, you want to take this slow. You want to take it, you know, don't risk it, you know. Just take your time over it. It doesn't pay too much time just by standing and waiting. I find it, the more you rush, the more you get knocked off. You'll see here, my colleague does get knocked off, and he gets all the way down, and he's died. So he's now, as you can see, it's quite funny the fact that he actually gets down to another location. We have to wait for him to res and come and join us. So now I'm going to pick up the hammer. You'll notice we get 3 skills. We have Sanctuary, we barely use that, and then the 2 sort of hit the, you know, hammer skills to really knock someone down. These spike traps do cause significant damage, especially to light armored characters. So I would make sure you dodge through those. And as we progress up, remember you can see the stacks, you know, on the hammer affecting me. They're up to 25, and then I'm going to show you what happens when you keep hold of it. And so you get to level 30 stacks, and it stuns you. So you need to drop the hammer at that point. So here we go. The strategy for this point is mostly to stand in the middle here. These fire pits sort of do, you know, move around slightly, so you want to be wary of that. But you're best to just stack up, you know, stack the might. You can see we're getting a few might stacks. Kill as many as you can. Have one of the heavy armored guys have the hammer, because then they'll use that to break the seal. You can see there. Again, if you notice, the fire pit slightly moved. We do need to stand just in a very narrow area of avoiding these fire pits. And then keep killing these novices. But yeah, you can see someone's dropped the hammer because they were getting quite high stacks. So someone else needs to take over as we not kill these enemies to charge the hammer, and then we will hit the seal. The idea is we're trying to release this Colossus, and you'll notice again the fire pits, you know, it goes out and then it will sort of move a little bit. So you just want to be wary that you're not just standing in the same spot and then suddenly you're getting burned, because it does cause a heavy amount of damage. The novices again come in, and you know, you're just trying to cleave them down, make sure you're not taking too much damage. I mean, we've got a very good party group here, and you know, we're not suffering too many problems. You can see now, you want to just careful of the AoE effect. You know, you can see where the red ring is. But we're doing pretty well, you know. The chest seal's taking a lot of damage. You know, we're not having too many problems. We haven't been down. In fact, one of my party members goes throughout this whole fractal run without dying once, which is pretty rare at level 50. You know, he had a very good run. I have obviously can't say the same thing. But there we go, so we've done that, and remember we still want to carry the hammer at this point. There's no point dropping it and leave it behind. So this bit we have a little bit of a run through and a little bit of sort of balancing act, you know, tightrope walking, where we have to walk up these planks that are very narrow. They're not too hard to, you know, once you know how to do, you know, you can take it slowly if you're doing this for the first time. It is pretty simple how you go about this dungeon, or how you go about this fractal. I keep calling it a dungeon, it's because it has a little dungeon symbol when for fractals. And here we go, so we jump across there. Now this point here, it's one of the trickiest part of this fractal. What you'll notice, we'll target one of these enemies here. You can see with the target, do not attack this guy. We attack the other guy because the point is to leave one of them alive. Otherwise, if you kill him, then about half a dozen more enemies will spawn, and they will keep healing the seal. So you want to leave one of them alive because he will heal the seal, but at a very reduced rate. We'll then go to the other side, because if you noticed, once you've hit the seal, it develops a shield, so you have to go and hit the other side. It's a very complicated sort of system, so you can see it's been shielded. So what we have to do now is we stay on this left-hand side, and we'll just keep attacking these enemies, while one or someone else, as you can see on the mini-map on the blue dot, he's gone to the other side because the hammer's been charged. He knocks the seal, and you notice at the top right, the left seal has dropped down. He's then going to run back and probably drop the hammer to somebody else because he's got quite a lot of stacks already, and will attack another enemy, and then he'll come and hit the right seal. So he's already got charge, he's going to hit it, there you go. And so he's going to come back, and now I think he's going to drop it. But again, you know, the enemies do heal the seals, so you want to keep bringing these over. But yeah, this is how you've got to do this part of the fractal. It does require some coordination. You do really need to know what to do, otherwise you can get very stuck very easily. If you kill the second boss, you can see that, you know, we haven't just managed that left seal. It's got a little bit of healing left, so we're gonna have to hit that one more time. But you can see that if you killed all those enemies, it would be extremely difficult. I mean, you could split it 2 and 2 each side, but you know, we're struggling with 4 people just to kill all of them. Having two against each lot would be very, very difficult. So yeah, the idea is you want to leave one of the people alive on the right, the left seal, and then you stack up at this point here. Have one of your heavy guys keep running the hammer to backwards and forwards to hit the seals. As you can see, the right hand side, the left seal on the mini map, the top seal is going to be destroyed. There we go. Oh, we had a slight issue where he did want us to kill. He forgot to charge the hammer. So we all go over. It's not a great risk just to kill him. And what you'll notice is when we kill him, before he manages to hit the seal, a load more enemies spawn, which happens here. Here we go, and they would have all started healing the seal. But we destroyed the seal, so they all vanished. And we're going to do the same on the other side, just to destroy the seal, kill the enemies, and we'll move on to the next stage.
Healing here.
One thing I didn't mention, you want to be careful of these novices because they do cause a significant amount of vulnerability, which is how they do sort of cause you significant damage. You don't need to carry the hammer any further than that because another hammer will spawn later. So here we have this sort of run the gauntlet. These explosions will knock you off, so you just got to take your time over it. I've run straight through pretty quickly, so yeah, you want to be careful of that. And then you're on to the final boss. Again, a very unique mechanic. We have a seal that's shielded in the middle, and it just needs to be taken out. What we have here, we've got some chanters, and we need to defeat them because the main boss guy, he's currently invulnerable. So we're going to defeat the chanters, and we'll get stunned. but you'll notice that now the main boss, he is active and we're going to attack him. And what will happen is he's pretty tanky. Every so often, every level, I think it's about every 25% damage that you cause, he will go invulnerable and more chances will spawn and the seal will become vulnerable. And the idea is that you kill the chances to power the hammer, defeat the seal, and or defeat one stage of the seal, and then the same thing will happen. The Archdiviner will sort of, come alive again, and the seal become protected, and you will have to sort of knock or cleave the Archdiviner down again to the next stage, and then again the chances will spawn, and you have to do the same thing over and over again. So what I'm going to do, this guy does cause significant damage, and our strategy here was to try and get this defiance down. As you can see here, the chances have spawned because we've got him, made him invulnerable. And what happens, you'll notice our guardians pulled them all together, which is a very useful tactic. We'll then nuke down or sort of cleave down the enemies. The hammer's now powered, and he's going to hit the seal, and what will happen, you'll get stunned, and we'll start again against the Archdiviner. But you want to be wary. Again, you can see the agony we're getting afflicted by. He does have a couple of unique mechanics a little bit later, whereby he'll summon minions. As you can see here, we're using the defiance sort of mechanism, whereby we knock. You can see it's slowly falling down. Using the Ice Bow skill 5 to freeze him and actually disable him. You can see we've done it again. It just keeps him for about 3 seconds stunned. It's very, very useful strategy to sort of, as long as you've got a lot of party. I think our thief was doing most of the sort of defiance removal because it's a bit of extra CC that you can do on this boss. It gives you a bit of extra recovery time, 3 seconds that you're not going to be under attack or damaged, and it just gives you a little bit of that extra relief. He does spawn later, sort of I think at 25% or at 50%. No, it is at 25%. Minions that will transport you into a cell, and you have to break out the cell. It's not too hard. It does just zaps you away into the cell. So what I'm going to do, I will fast forward this bit because it does take a while. It is a pretty significant length dungeon of Fractal. I think I've explained all the mechanics. You want to make sure that you're not getting too close. It does do heavy damage, but it's exactly pretty much the same as what he was down at the bottom of the beginning of the Fractal. So we'll do a quick montage now. Okay, and so we're back, and we've defeated the seal, so we get a chest here, again, more fractal relics, more agony infusion, and you'll notice that the Colossus has been released. If you do want, there's an achievement that you have to bow when he bows. I actually got that on the very first Fractal time I ran through the Fractals. I just thought it'd be cool to bow down to him, and I got an achievement for it. This was before the achievements were actually sort of publicised what they were. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So yeah, if you want to watch, he does have a little animation. He walks off into the distance, so you know, you can watch that if you haven't seen that before. And we're on to the next fractal. This is the Dredge fractal, which used to be a killer. It used to be the one that would, you know, it would end a lot of parties' progress through fractals. They did fix it. We've shadow refuged. Don't normally do it like this, but you know, every pug party is different. Or every pug is, yeah, I'd say, yeah, every pickup group party is different. But we stack up here and we're going to take out the Dredge. You know, that they are pretty heavy damaging Dredge, but we can cause a lot of damage as well. You notice I've actually got, I popped a consumable that will give me more damage and more damage resistance to the Dredge. But yeah, this is a unique fractal whereby to get past the gate you have to have someone go and stand on a switch, and a switch where there's plenty of enemies. I'm going to, as we go through, we'll show you exactly how this all works. But this was the first stage of this was extremely difficult. Again, there is a slight split in the dungeon, sorry, in this fractal later, where you're not sure at the beginning which way you're going to go because there are two paths. But I'll get to that a bit later. So as you can see, we're finishing off these Dredge. Nothing too major. We've got a couple of downs, party members, because again, they do hit pretty hard. Unfortunately, I'm standing in the back line, so I'm not taking the front, you know, most of the damage. It's one of the things why I get downed a lot easily in my videos, is because I like to go in first and cause the first amount of damage, and then they target me. If I stay at the back, I can avoid being killed, but that's not my style. So you see, we get to an impassable gate, and you'll notice on the mini-map, one of our guys, he's going to go up there and run around and activate the switch. He's the thief in the party, I believe, and it'll open this gate, but he will be stuck. So he's going to come back round to this part of the gate. So you can see here, we go through, we kill these two enemies by this next gate. See here. As you can see here, the gate's closed behind us because the thief moved off the switch. And so we're going to kill these two here, and one of our party members will do the same thing. He's going to go up and activate the next switch, which will release both these doors, allowing our first party member to join us and allowing us to progress to the next stage, although he will be trapped outside. But this bit here, this was always a tricky situation for a lot of parties. Okay, so as you could see us waiting, one of our party members has gone up to the switch. So he's got an Ash Legion Spike Kit, which is extremely useful for this stage. Now, this area here, it has two switches, one to the left and one to the right. And you'll have Dredge that will respawn, so you have to be careful with these. If you get killed while you're on a switch, it will deactivate the switch. It didn't used to in the past. So that is one of the updates to the dungeon. That happened a few months ago, actually. But the idea is that if you stand on both switches, it will open up this final back area, which you must interact with to open that final gate in the top right-hand side over there. So one of our party members is on this side, he's on the switch there, and I'm going to go and stand on the other switch, and whilst I'm doing that, the party member with the Ash Legion Spy Kit is going to activate that and stand in the same spot. He will be stealth, and so no one will see him. You can see him, he's activating, he's interacting with that. He has to make sure that obviously that opens the next doors. So you can see it has a skill, but you know, it's up to 70%, and then he's done that, and that will open the final door. You can see on the mini map it's flashing. So I'm just going to quickly run around, run away, and we have to progress through that door. Fortunately, my party are able there to res me. Not the wisest to have a Berserker Ellie standing on a switch getting damaged. But we move on, and you know, that was pretty straightforward how we did that. It is a very, very tricky part of the fractal. You do really need a lot of good coordination before you go in. If you're fairly new to this, I'd advise talking with your party to decide who has which role. I'm with some guys that are very experienced, so we pretty much know somebody has to get certain points, and for example we didn't discuss who would go on which panel. I saw that the right hand side panel was open, so I suddenly went over there. It wasn't too much of a hassle really. Enough for you guys that are fairly new to this, to the fractals. This is where it actually splits. So where that, you can see that door symbol to the right hand side, that's where the other option is to go through that way, and that's a pretty cool option. You get to stealth and carry bombs. Pretty easy section that is, a bit quicker than the left hand side. But here, you know, we're progressing. The idea is that we use these guns to open up the doors, because it's, you know, sort of a very skilled heavy door. And yeah, this used to always be an extremely difficult part, because they would have extremely huge numbers of dredge that would constantly respawn, and it would be almost impossible to get through. So this next stage is where we have to pick up a dredge weapon, and you have to avoid the turret attacks. And then what you do, you go over to the reinforced door, and then you all fire at the same time, and it will sort of damage the door. You have to do that 4 times, and what happens each stage, some dredge will spawn, and you just wipe them out pretty quickly. Not really anything difficult here. But yeah, so the main challenge is trying to avoid these turret attacks without getting hit when you're carrying this weapon, because you can't dodge. You have to time it pretty well. I have to say, during this run I actually did not time it very well at all, because I wasn't really paying attention. The other guys were doing so well that they were running straight through pretty quickly. You can see here I try and avoid it. I get hit just there, and then that's a waste. But fortunately we've got 3 guys at the door, and they are burst through, so that's the second stage done. And you know, you get some loot from some of the dredge that here, but you know, this is a pretty simple stage that we're doing here. It just takes a little bit of time, slightly more time than the option to the other side, the alternative path that this dungeon runs through, this fractal runs through. And then what will happen, you'll actually get another sort of variation after this stage, where you will have the 2 bosses that you will either fight. One will be is a sort of a super tanked up dredge, and the other is a super tanked up ice elemental. And so, you know, you get a variation which one's which. I don't think it makes too much difference, to be honest, which one you fight. Both are exactly the same sort of mechanic. Occasionally, I probably think the dredge is slightly easier, if anything. So our guys are firing through the door, and again we get some dredge spawn. We're just going to kill those guys, and you know, it's not too hard, this part of the dungeon. And then the final part, I'll explain as we're going through. It does require some coordination, and if you haven't done this fractal before, I would recommend you watch this video to see how we do this, because we do this extremely well. As you can see, am I going to make it through? Yeah, oh no, I didn't make it through. Every time, only once I managed to get through without damaging this damn door, without damaging the turret, or the gun, whatever I had. So we've got 3 guys here. What will happen now, after we get through, we get a dredge carrier spawn with one of the main bosses. What the idea would be is to stack on the boss, so when he comes out, you can't go into the carrier because of that shield, but is it Rabzonovich? He has this mechanism here. When you attack him, he's blocking and it stuns you, so just be wary of that. You know, we've frozen him, and now we're launching damage. There are some adds that do spawn as well, so but as long as you're stacked up here, there really isn't any major issues. He does have this sort of fire attack that he does. It's very easy to dodge out the way of it. It's easily telegraphed. But it's this shield attack, where if you fire at him, you will get stunned. That's the main issue that you really have with this guy. It's a lot easier than it used to be, because he used to have so many adds that would spawn, and it was just impossible to take him down. Now it's a lot more easier. It's still a lengthy fractal to do, but It's substantially easier, much more achievable, and I for one am very glad that the developers changed this. As you can see, we're wiping out the Dredge, and the boss, he's almost dead. And then we get to the final stage. We do have a little bit of a gauntlet to run as we come through here, but we've got a thief, so the thief is going to put down Shadow Refuge, which will stealth us, so we can easily go through here. And what you'll notice when we go through, as we get a triangular blast, unfortunately I blasted swiftness rather than stealth field on us. As we go through here, we will have 4 sort of pulleys, or switches, that one person has to activate, and they will release a pile of hot lava or hot molten hotness, and it will make the enemy vulnerable. And one person has to stay up and run round to each one. So there's 4 around the room, and this spot here, you can see where there's sort of embers. That's where he has to. You've got to pull the enemy over. So it's a legendary. You can see I'm damaging it, or I'm attacking it. This guy does have heavy damage, but we do cause a bit of damage. I don't think we do actually. No, we're not causing any damage. And now we are causing a bit of damage, but now you can see he's actually superheated, and that means you can see the damage difference we're doing. We're doing huge amounts of damage, but this guy must have like a billion XP, billion health, because it's even taking like sort of 40,000 damage in several hits, or one hit. He's still only losing like 10% health. With all 4 of us attacking him. But again, we've moved on to the next stage, so the idea is you either immobilize him using cripple or freeze, and then we have the guy that will pull the lever that brings down the moltenness that will superheat him, and then the rest of your party will start to attack him. So you can see here fortunately he's stacked in the right spot, and our guy's pulling at the right time, so we've got this very, very well organised. You can see in the combat log the amount of damage you're doing, and it's all going very, very well indeed. I am going to stop talking because there is a bit coming up which I am going to edit in how hilarious this is. So I think that was pretty funny. He managed to freeze him in midair. So yeah, we're going to carry on and we're going to finish him off. Moving round, the guy doing the switch is pretty competent. We're able to sort of cripple him or just manage to immobilize him at the right time, and we're going to cleave him down. And so we're just going to finish him off, and we're going to progress on to the final fractal.
All mine. All shiny.
And so we get the hardest final boss that we get. You can get a choice of 3 main bosses. There's the sort of the 2 bosses from the Flame and Frost, or there's the original Maw, and then there's Mai Trin from the Ether Blades. The strategy here: let Keel go up and die. It's easier that way. There is a champion as well as some other sort of enemies that you want to. I'm going to mope over Keel. So one of your party pulls the enemies over, And as you can see here, we're just going to burn them off, melt all them down, and we've got the champion inquest technician. Nothing too serious here, we're just going to wipe them out. But yeah, this is the hardest boss. We have to take out Mai Trin, or Mai Trin, and you know, the other two sort of fractals, end fractals that you can get, they tend to be a little bit easier for sort of uncoordinated parties to take out. Whereas this one requires a bit of coordination, and there is a bit of strategy in it, and it does require some good sort of teamwork and you knowing what to do in the situation. So as you can see, we've defeated the champion and we're going to enter the main room. And we're going to res kill because one of the strategies, I don't know how long this will be in the game, if you do die, what I would recommend you doing is logging out and logging back in, or you know, leaving the instance and then coming back in again, because where your waypoint dead, but your waypoint and kill will res you and you can come back in. So as you can see, we're all stacked up. We were against Mai Trin. She has a colleague of hers as well, Horic, and he will cause damage. You can't damage Mai Trin because she has this shield up. The only way that you can remove that shield is by damaging her shield through Horic's attacks. You see here, he's got the attack that, you know, he's got this electrical attack, and Mai Trin, because she was stuck in that effect field, she's already lost four of her shield stacks, which means that we can damage her slightly. The more stacks you take out, the more you can damage Mai Trin. But Horic, he does two different attacks. He does an AoE flame attack, which that does nothing to Mai Trin, but really damages yourself. Or he does this electrical attack, as you can see here, and it will damage and then reduce Mai Trin's shield. So the idea is to try and pull Mai Trin into this electrical field and to sort of get her shield down, which you can then damage Mai Trin. You can see she's already lost about 5-10% health, because you can do some conditions, but she actually removes the conditions pretty quickly when her shield's at this point. And then whatever she has, when she gets down 25% health, so at 75, 50 and 25% health, she will sort of go invulnerable, and then you'll get the cannon attacks. So what we're going to see here is us attack Mai Trin. I'm going to sort of stop talking and play out a bit of a montage. You'll see here again that we've got this electrical field, and suddenly Mai Trin's shield is down to 2, so we can really damage her. You'll see now I'm doing significantly more damage. And you know, now we get to the cannon section. So this bit is not the most enjoyable section of this the fractal, because it's just basically run around and dodge. You know, it is pretty boring, to be honest. You just have to make sure that you avoid them. To be honest, I get so bored. It normally lasts, I don't know, about 30 seconds or so. And you just have to keep running around and avoid this damage. I do get a little bit bored in the end, and I did die at this first stage. So as you can see here, sort of we're all running around. I was just actually looking at the mini-map. I was trying to heal as well at the same time. And sort of looking around to make sure none of my other parties was downed, and then I actually get down myself, and I was like, oh, I ran out of endurance, and I get downed, and then I actually die. So just as you can see the damage hits we're taking, unfortunately the banner came out just too late, and Mai Trin spawned. So you can see that it was perfect, because she actually spawned near me, and Horic unleashed the attack. So we've actually froze Mai Trin because she's got the stacks of defiance were removed. But yeah, so as you can see, my party member says if you die, relog. We actually get Mai Trin already down to 5 stacks of her shields down to 5, and it means that, you know, we can cause damage, and it should be a good run, good time. This an easier run. But again, you know, we're getting hit by agony a lot throughout this run. Remember, this is level 50, so it is a pretty significantly hard dungeon. Harder level than if you were doing it at level 1 to 5, or you know, even up to level 20. But yeah, if you do die, I didn't do it in this part because I wanted to show you for this video, you know, to make sure I got rezzed. But yeah, I'm going to fast forward this a little bit, so it's pretty much everything self-explanatory. Mai Trin does do a couple of heavy damages. She does do this teleport and hits you for a significant amount of damage, and as well as this pistol whip. Just be wary that her damage, it's a lot reduced from when they first updated this dungeon, because everybody was moaning that she was so hard to defeat and that she would one-shot you. You can see that teleport there, but her damage is slightly less now, and she doesn't tend to one-shot you as much. She still, with her teleport, does significant damage, but it is a bit easier this dungeon now. Anyway, enjoy the rest of this dungeon. There's not much else really to say. There is a funny bit that I'm going to show you a little bit throughout this dungeon. I'll do a little replay as the cannons get unleashed. Okay, so what you're going to see now is something pretty rare. This is me. I popped my shield skill 3 and boom! She was going to, Mai Trin was going to teleport to kill me, and I reflected it, and I then teleported to her. It's one of the few times that I don't think, I'm just trying to think, is there any other skill that reflects? I don't think there is. I think this is probably one of the few times that you can actually look. You can see there you go, I've reflected it back and boom, I get teleported. Notice the bottom left, you hit Mai Trin for a teleporting shot, and I critically hit Mai Trin for blade trail. I was like, whoa, this is pretty, I was so shocked that I teleported. I wasn't really paying attention. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, pretty sort of nifty. Again, that's sort of if people could probably develop a strategy based on that. But it was just pretty much luck that I managed to pop the skill 3 just as Mai Trin hit that fire. To be honest, I have done that twice before on another run, but you can see she hits me again. She does have a tell that when her animation, when she is going to fire the shot, so you can time it, but it's very like a fraction of a second to sort of pop that skill. Anyway, so I'm going to down Mai Trin, and after this cannonade, I hope this is pretty much it's been pretty useful for you guys, and I'll just join you when we come to the end, and we're going to look at the rewards. Okay, so we've just about killed Mai Trin. What will happen, you'll get a chest for killing Mai Trin, and you'll also get the bonus chest, which comes to your right hand side. That is which has your special loot. Now, you've got a chance of getting ascended armor, ascended weapons, an ascended trinket, or, as you'll see here, a fractal skin. Unfortunately, I already have that. The fractal. Oh, actually, I know. I just unlocked the fractal spear gun. So there you go. I got fractal spear gun. You can see what some of the other guys. We do get a gold. We get some fractal relics as well. But you know, it's a bit disappointing to get an underwater fractal skin because you very rarely go underwater. But I'll show you as well. You can see what some of the other guys got. Someone got a Occam's weapon chest. We got some infused rings as well. So yeah, it's for those types of for this rarity, level 50 is the way to go. Anyway, I hope this video has been useful. I'm going to do some more fractals a little bit later, and hopefully they'll guide you through as well. Thanks very much for watching. Catch you on the next video.